Hey y'all, Zach McDonald, your real estate agent with Real Property Associates, and today we are going to review a recent news article published in the Seattle Post-Intelligencer. And this article is titled, "Home Prices in Seattle Are Expected to Rise 18% over the next year." I have to admit, when I saw this headline, I couldn't help but click on it. And at first I thought, I'm sure this is clickbait, but I gotta do it anyway. I assume that most people who see this headline are going to have difficulty resisting the urge to click on it as well. So I figured that I'll go through this article here briefly and talk about it a little bit, but I honestly don't think this article is too far off. Starting out, we read that home prices in the Seattle metro area, so in this article talking about Seattle, Bellevue, and Tacoma metro area, so a fairly large metro area, not just the city of Seattle, in case you were wondering. The prices are expected to rise 18% over the next year, according to a new study by Porch.com. I'll go ahead and link up this article and also the article from Porch.com in the description below, so you can go ahead and take a look at those articles yourself. But I'll read through this Seattle Post-Intelligencer summary, if you want to call it that, and it focuses a little bit more on the Seattle data. Over the last 18 months, home prices across the nation have shot up to levels unseen since the build-up to the 2008 financial crisis, researchers wrote in the study. This is that Porch study I mentioned. In April 2021, the year-over-year growth of the Case-Shiller Index, the premier metric for housing prices, eclipsed 14.5% for the first time in its history. Now that's a few months ago, but we're still seeing very similar numbers here in 2021 as the year has continued. By analyzing data from Zillow, Redfin, and the Census Bureau, researchers at Porch calculated expected rises in home prices in 51 large metro areas across the US. Seattle, this is the part that I was like, whoa, when are we gonna talk about Seattle here? Seattle's forecasted rise in home costs was ranked the 19th highest on this list, which was a little surprising. So there's a whole bunch of other places predicted to rise more than 18% year over year, which to me is kind of crazy. It appears that Seattle might not be even close to the top of the fastest growing metro areas, at least as far as price goes on the next year's Case-Shiller Index studies, but who knows? Again, this is all just predicting the future, which none of us can actually do. But interesting, Austin, Texas here took the top spot. Good old Austin, Texas. I know a lot of people that are moving there and some great agents there. So if you ever are just thinking about moving to Austin, Texas, let me know. I know some good people I can connect you with. Home prices there are expected to rise by over 37% year over year. That's crazy. 37%. And in Seattle, the Case-Shiller Index, again, is tracking these major metro areas. And Seattle is one of the larger metro areas it's tracked on a regular basis. And we've been number 3 most of the year. And as I'm looking at this, I'm a little shocked, but at the same time, 18% is a lot. So it looks like last year we've seen 17.1% on their index for the Bellevue, Seattle, Tacoma metro area, which is a lot. And they're forecasting even more growth this next year. So if you're somebody who's bought a house this year or was thinking about buying a house this year, or even last year, maybe you were thinking about buying a house, and you're hoping for it to get better, according to a lot of the major outlets here, specifically Zillow and Redfin, who do a lot of data and research, they're both predicting that we're gonna see even more dramatic increases in prices next year than what we've already seen in this current year. So again, a little bit maybe tough to swallow. I'll reserve my professional opinion here until we get to the end, but you might see that I already am leaning that I think that's a very real possibility based on what we've seen this year and what we could maybe expect next year. Real estate experts, continuing on, say that the nation's dwindling supply of homes, and I'm gonna even just circle that, is to blame for skyrocketing prices. And a lot of the country has been experiencing this year what the Seattle real estate market and some of the other more popular markets have been experiencing for quite some time, and that is competition. Instead of prices remaining more stagnant or seeing negotiation on the downward side, we're seeing negotiation upwards, over asking price, removing contingencies. That's been extremely common in the Seattle area, Bellevue area real estate markets, but it hasn't been as common in some of these other places. So the rest of the US has been experiencing some of the same inventory shortages that we've been seeing here for quite some time. So I think a lot of people have been shocked this year. I think for people in the Seattle area, hasn't been as much of a shock, but I think just the fact that prices have been going up so much when they're already so high or seemingly so high, at least for the people that have lived here for a longer amount of time, I think that's been the bigger shock for the local people. A few more thoughts here that we'll highlight in this article, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the market in general. In June, the National Association of Realtors released a report calling for a dire, once-in-a-generation solution to the shrinking supply of houses in the U.S. That report estimates the U.S. is experiencing a shortage of anywhere from 5.5 million to 6.8 million units. That's a huge number, and that's nationwide, countrywide. In their study, which was released last week, analysts at Porch detailed how such prices are affecting buyers. And here they're relying on some Redfin data, a local Seattle company. Redfin data revealed that the percentage of homes selling above asking price shot up 13 percentage points. So I was looking at that study, 34.4% versus 21.2%. 13 percentage points compared to pre-pandemic levels. More than 60% of buyers were putting offers on houses sight unseen. Again, I thought that was kind of crazy, so I clicked on that link as well. And according to their data, there was a pretty significant number of people that they surveyed across 32 different metro areas, and they found that there was a large percentage of buyers that were moving from different places that were putting in offers sight unseen just to get an offer in. Now, a lot of them were doing inspections or attending inspections, and that article specifically was highlighting a couple that had made an offer looking at virtual tours and touring the house with their agent via a video, which I've done on multiple occasions. Last year, that was a lot bigger piece of my business too. There were people that wanted to see houses but weren't actually here. And this study talked about the fact that those same people did end up seeing the house before it closed, but their initial offer was made without ever stepping foot themselves personally inside of the house. And I think over the long haul, we'll continue to see technology help people make purchases and be able to act a little bit quicker because they have to. The final thought here, and we'll end with this because it's talking about Seattle. In Seattle alone, more than 4,500 homes have sold for at least $100,000 above the asking price in 2021 so far. During the same period last year, just 400 Seattle homes sold for more than $100,000 over asking price. So I've talked about in some of these other articles and in my monthly market updates that we are seeing a lot larger percentage of homes selling considerably over the asking price. And I have buyers and sellers that I work with. I help people on both sides, and the sellers love seeing competition. They love seeing multiple offers. They love seeing their house sell for $100,000, $200,000. I had one even sell for more than $300,000 over asking price. Crazy. But sellers love seeing that. Buyers, though, that's really hard because many can't actually afford to do that. And it's also tough to justify spending that much money on a house when you see what the asking price is and you see what the sold price is. So it's really hard for some people to make that psychological jump to spend that 10 to 20% above the asking price in extra money. And when you're already at $1 million, $100,000 over the asking price is 10%. So some of these houses that are selling 20, 25% over asking price, maybe they were doing that 4 or 5 years ago, but the dollar amounts were smaller. So as the values of the homes have gone up, so has the amount over asking price as well. Percentage-wise, maybe not too different, even though this year we're seeing 25, 30% over asking price. Previously, 20s, 18s, 20% was more of the cap that you'd see, maybe a little bit more. But right now we're seeing even more than that on some special occasions. So crazy market conditions right now. I think in summary, looking at this article and reading through some of their supporting documents, I think they have a legitimate case for the market continuing to increase and home prices continuing to go up. I think the big factors that we've seen this year, which I think will continue, are the movement of people because they need a new, bigger place. And I think that we're going to continue to see that here in the rest of 2021 and into 2022. This isn't my predictions video yet, but I think as we finish out the year, we're going to continue to see that trend I think we are going to continue seeing the multiple offer situations because we still don't have enough houses on the market to support the demand. And so what that means, we're just going to continue to see people paying more than asking price for the homes, which is continuing to drive the prices up. So that trend's going to continue. And I think the other factor is that interest rates are still super low. And there's no immediate reason that that would change either. So low interest rates, people's affordability is still there. They can afford to keep paying these prices. And it may sound crazy. I think sometimes I see in the comments people saying things like, who would ever pay these prices? How could anybody ever afford this? And I think they're taking their own experience and putting it into that comment, thinking, okay, well, I've lived here for a long time, or I'm coming from somewhere where it's cheaper. Why would anybody ever pay this much for a house? How could they afford it? But I'm continuing to see clients that I'm working with, and when I'm helping list homes as well, the same idea. There are plenty of people right now, obviously, that can't afford to pay the prices. Some people are moving here from other places where real estate might be 2, 3, 4 times more expensive. And so for them, it seems cheap, right? Well, I can get all of this for $1 million. And other people have different financial situations. So I think just having that context, you have 5, 6 offers on a house. That's 5 or 6 people that can afford to buy it. So until that changes, or until we see a lot more houses coming on the market, I think we're just going to continue to see inflation in prices in real estate. And it's one of the places where people tend to put their money, specifically when they're concerned about the stock market maybe, or they're concerned about inflation, which is something we've been talking about a lot as well. And inflation eventually impacts everything else. It impacts prices. For consumer goods, it impacts prices for houses. So if we continue to see that as well, I think we're going to continue to see home prices go up as well. So 18%, would I predict that? We'll see what I say when we get to the end of the year, maybe a little bit closer to January. But 18% from now until next year in August, maybe. But it's hard for me to stomach that and say that on camera. So I'll just say, I think that the source material is fairly solid. I think that there is a good chance that we'll continue to see this market heating up, and we may see a very similar year next year to what we already saw this year. So if you're somebody who is thinking about selling a house, I don't think you've missed the boat. I don't think you've missed your chance yet. I think you're going to see that continue on for the rest of this year and into next year. I think if you're somebody who's looking at buying a house, you may want to strongly consider jumping in sooner rather than later, because I don't think it's going to get any better anytime soon. So those are my thoughts about the article here. I hope that this article was helpful and this video was helpful to you in some way. If you made it to the end, I know that there was some value, so please give this video a thumbs up or drop a comment down below if you have some additional thoughts to share. And if you want to see more videos like this or hear my thoughts on the market on a regular basis, I post monthly market update videos where I talk about the Seattle Bellevue market, and then I also post videos where I talk about King County and Snohomish County markets with a little bit more depth as well. So those are monthly videos, so if you subscribe to the channel, you'll get to see those on a regular basis. And lastly here, if there's any way that I can bring value to your individual situation and you want to have a conversation with me, please don't hesitate to reach out.